Hello everyone, so today we are going to make Google authentication in our Flutter application, and to do that we are going to need these three packages: the Google Sign In package, the Firebase core to basically connect to Firebase, and the Firebase auth for the authentication process. Okay, so these three packages are available on the pub.dev: the Firebase core, the Google Sign In package, and the Firebase auth. Okay, so the next thing we want is that we want to have an app in or a project in our Firebase. So I've just created a new Firebase project. Okay, and I've already created, or I've already connected my app, my Flutter app, with the Firebase. And to do that, it's very easy. Let's just say I'm going to connect a new Flutter app. So let me just go over here. There will be an option for Flutter, and mind you, this way of initialization requires the Firebase CLI. Okay, so I've already have it. So first of all, you need to run this command in the global command prompt. Then you need to run this command, and when it's done, it will basically show something like this. Okay, so it will just ask you to select the platforms where you want for the configuration, where you want to do the configuration. So you'll then select it, and it will then just do all the configurations by itself. Okay, so when this is done, what you want to do over here is, let's say it's working fine. So the next thing we want over here is that we want to have authentication enabled. Okay, so I've just enabled authentication in my app, and to enable that, we are going to add new provider. In the add new provider, we will use this Google option, and when the option is enabled, the next thing we want is a SHA-1 key. Okay, so if I've just used this easiest way I've found on Stack Overflow, and this is quite a good thing. So first of all, what you want to do is that on the Android folder, in this folder, you want to open the command prompt, and then when you open the command prompt, you want to run this Gradle W signing report. Okay, so this is also provided over here, Gradle signing report, and when this is done, it will give you a SHA-1 key. Okay, so the next thing you have to do is put the SHA-1 key in your project. So in the project settings, you will have to add this in Android case. So SHA certificate fingerprints, and you will add the SHA-1 key. Okay, this is required for the Google authentication, because the Google Firebase, or the Firebase, checks that when the request comes, is it from that particular app or not. Okay, so this is done. This is the other side. Now in our app, what we want to do is that I have just created a new screen, auth screen, and the auth screen contains a centered elevated button with a text Google Auth. Okay, and a home screen with a text, this is home screen, and an elevated button. So this button was just for signing out, and there wasn't any use of it, so I've just there wasn't no need of it, but I've just created it for the sake of this tutorial. Okay, so first of all, the idea of this app will be that we will show a button to a user, and when the user clicks on that button, we basically want the user to move. When we will show a dialog where the user will add or choose a Google account, and when he's done with it and the authentication was successful, we will just pass him to the home screen. Okay, so I've just made a class auth methods, and in the auth methods I've created an instance of Firebase auth to basically use the Firebase authentication. Okay, so the next thing I've done is I've created a function sign in with Google and given a context to it, and this function will be asynchronous. Okay, so the Google sign in account will provide us with a account, with a Google account. Okay, so when we get the account from it, we then do authentication on that account. Okay, and when we are successful with the authentication, we get the credentials from the Google Auth provider dot credential, and the Google Auth provides us the credentials, the access token and the ID token. Okay, so when we have the credentials, the next thing we do is we use the Firebase auth that sign in with credentials. We provide the credentials and wait for it to complete, and when it completes, we just move the user to the home screen. Okay, so let's just see it in action. So let me just see this. Okay, so in the debug console you can see it's fine. Okay, so when we press Google Auth, it will show a dialog. Okay, so when the dialog is shown, we will press let's say the second one. Okay, and we wait for it. So when the sign-in is successful, it takes us back to the home screen. Okay, so this is the main idea of Google authentication in a Flutter app. Thank you.